What's up, members of D12? I'm back at it again. Some more power rankings, and we are into the top half. Starting to get a little bit better here, and team number 6 is the Oakland Chaos, and the theme song that I chose for the Oakland Chaos is "Let's Get It Started" in here, or if you got language alert, maybe ever so slightly here. If you got the original Black Eyed Peas album, it was originally "Let's Get Retarded" in here, but we don't use the R word in my household, so I won't say retarded. And let's get it started in here. I didn't choose this theme song because of the name of the song, but rather the hook, the thing that they repeat over and over and over again. And the bass keeps running and running and running and running and running. So if Chaos is going to make noise this year, it's going to be solely on the guys that do his running, the running backs. But we'll get to those guys shortly. Let's start with the quarterbacks. He's got a good one in Drew Brees. Consistent guy. Finishes in the top 5 quite often among all quarterbacks. He is getting a little bit older, but I still think he's going to be good for this year. Let's pull up his roster. Behind him, he's got RG3, and that's it for this year. So Breeze is going to have to carry the load for him as far as quarterbacks are concerned. RG3 does have some weapons. Coleman, Pryor, and Gordon have all looked pretty good in the preseason. It's just preseason, though, because his only other quarterback besides those two is Teddy Bridgewater. Rest in peace. Miss you, Teddy. So, it's Breeze. Good guy. Good quarterback. Not a whole lot behind him. Moving over to the wide receivers. He's got old guy number 1, old guy number 2, flash in the pan for his wide receiver 3. Fitzgerald, I think that he takes a huge step back this year. He had a fantastic year last year. His best year in years. Michael Floyd's still there. John Brown is still there. J.J. Nelson sprinkled in there. David Johnson catching balls out of the backfield. See a huge drop-off for Fitzgerald this year. Not who you want as your wide receiver 1 if you're a contender. Wide receiver 2, Michael Crabtree. Very similar to Fitzgerald. Had a great year last year out in Oakland opposite Amari. His best year in years. I see Crabtree maintaining a little bit better than Fitz this year, but still, if you're a contender, not who you want as your wide receiver 2. Wide receiver 3. If you could take Doug Baldwin's weeks, what was it, like 10 to 14 or something last year, where he had like 12 touchdowns in 5 games, some ridiculous number. You carry that out through a 16-game season. Those are fantastic numbers. Seattle is always going to be a running team. And they got Baldwin. They've got Lockett. They got Jimmy Graham at tight end, who is past his prime, to say the least, but those are a lot of mouths to feed for not a very pass-heavy offense. I mean, Baldwin could produce, but just like Fitzgerald and Crabtree, not who I really want as my wide receiver 3. Maybe Baldwin fits the wide receiver 3 a little bit better than Fitz wide receiver 1, or Crabtree fits wide receiver 2. I think all 3 of these guys are wide receiver 3-ish. Looking down at his flex, we've got another super old guy in Steve Smith Sr. And again, just like Fitzgerald, just like Crabtree, he was fantastic last year. We'll have to see once if he can repeat it at all this year. Looking down the rest of his wide receiver list, luckily he's picked up some young guys because this is a dynasty. Fitzgerald, 1-year contract. Crabtree, 1-year contract. And Steve Smith is probably retiring at the end of this year. And Doug Baldwin, a 1-year contract. So the 4 guys he has in the starting lineup probably aren't going to be there next year. So in the rookie draft, he did pick up Tyler Boyd, who's been looking pretty swell in Cincinnati. He got Farrell Cooper in the second round, I believe, and then he did pick up Braxton Miller in the free agency auction as well. So those are some younger guys. Probably aren't going to help him a whole lot this year, but maybe towards the end of the year he can plug those guys in. He also has Brian Quick and Sammy Coates. Whoever ends up being the third wide receiver in Pittsburgh, whether it's Coates or Eli Rogers, should get some play as well. So not very strong up near the top, but it is a deep wide receiving core, and he should be able to find 3 or 4 guys that he can play confidently. And now we get to his strength, and that is his running. I'm not going to try to sing. His running backs. He's got Ezekiel Elliott, bona fide stud coming out of the gates. Maybe he gets hurt with having Dak Prescott back there instead of Tony Romo, because defenses can load up the box. I have heard that Dallas might be running some sort of a zone running scheme. The zone read, that's what I meant, with Prescott back there. Ezekiel is going to get the ball a ton. If he can hold up through a 16-game NFL season, Rookie of the Year, hands down. Doug Martin, coming off a top 5 season last year, his second top 5 season of his career. If he can continue that, another stud that he has on his team. Those 2 guys, for sure, top 10 running backs, I would say. Preseason top 10 running backs. Any list that you see, they will both be on there. His third running back, Carlos Hyde. San Francisco sucks. He is their only weapon. If he can come back from his concussion-like symptoms, he could be in line for a huge year. Although he hasn't ever played an entire season, so it is only his 3rd year. Some injury concerns there. His fourth running back would start on a lot of teams, and that's James White. Dion Lewis, down with an injury, out for a while. Maybe this is a trade target for someone that really needs running back help, because I think that White is going to be a very good play while Dion is out. Look towards the end of last season. White did fantastic when Dion got injured last year. Whoever is the third down running back in New England is going to put up points. Then beyond that, he still does have Charkandrick West. I think that it's going to be Spencer Ware that spells Charles more than West. But if Charles gets injured again, which he very well could be, West could be a decent play. Tim Hightower, and then he's got C.J. Precise, which a lot of running backs in Seattle. It's hard to trust any of them right now after Rawls, at least for this year. Though Precise, he's in line to be the third down running back. PPR league, receptions count as points, if you didn't know that. So could also be a decent play. Justin has some trade assets sitting here. If you wanted to bolster, maybe go out and pick up a nice wide receiver. Trying to think offhand of the lesser teams, what wide receivers that they have. Maybe go out and get a Willie Snead from St. Louis for one of your running backs. There. Who says no to that trade? Willie Snead for James White. Who says no? Probably Richard. Then we go to his tight ends. He's got a top 5 tight end in Travis Kelce. And then Mr. Reliable, although he took a hit with Romo's injury as well, Jason Witten. Playing the 1 week, playing Kelce's bye week is probably the only time that Witten will hit the starting lineup. So I don't love his wide receivers. I love his running backs. He's got a good quarterback. He's got a good tight end. This is the first team, I believe, that has a triple digits for their championship odds, plus 890. They are minus 110 to make the playoffs. Their probability of making playoffs is just under 50%, I believe. Within when we add in the Vegas, when we add in the VIG, it does make the line minus 110. It's a virtual coin flip whether he makes the playoffs or not. Division odds plus 230. He could give Mike a run for his money in in the division. Plus 155 to make money, and is almost in the quadruple digits of finishing last. In the poll that Justin posted yesterday or the day before, he's kind of stealing my thunder here. I think that he improved his team the most on Sunday. Now that's pretty easy to do when you've got the first overall pick, but him adding Doug Baldwin, maybe he didn't add a whole lot to his starting lineup. I think he added Baldwin, he added Fitzgerald, he got himself a couple other decent rookies in the draft and then in the auction. Dion Lewis going down really helps his team. This is one of the... I'm not going to say that he's a super contender. I don't think that he's a favorite to make a deep run in the playoffs, but we're starting to get to those teams that could make some noise come December. So, yeah, I think that Justin is much better off right now today than he was a week ago. I'm still rooting for him to miss the playoffs because, again, I want his draft pick in the lottery as well, but he could definitely get there without a whole lot needing to go his way. Yeah, this is probably the last one that I'm doing for a while. It might be Monday until I get to the top 5, just because of my school schedule, and I'm gone all weekend. So I'll see you all again sometime soon. Peace.